Everybody has their weakness. Mine is whatever you're cooking right now. It smells amazing.
Wow, that is delicious. Finally, some good fucking food.
Well, whatever they're cooking, I think we can all agree that it's starting to smell pretty damn good. But regardless, welcome back, true believers and all you spectacular Spidey fans, to another very interesting Marvel Spider-Man 2 related video. And boy oh boy, there is quite a lot to talk about. But to begin where all this news originated from, let's start off with looking at some posts coming from the main man himself of Yuri Lowenthal, who obviously portrays Peter Parker both as the voice actor and motion capture actor within Insomniac Spider-Man games, where he did go online a few days ago and fully participated in a Ask Me Anything discussion on Reddit. And during this Reddit AMA is where we got a very interesting update relating to Marvel's Spider-Man 2, where this fellow user of Mo1Stoppa asked Yuri two separate questions on Reddit, to which Yuri answered to both of them, asking, have you finished doing voicing for Spider-Man 2, and are you doing the motion capture for Spider-Man 2? To which Yuri himself responded respectively by stating, yup, can't wait for you to play it, and yup, all done. Where even though this might appear as a small update pertaining to the game, it still is nice to know that Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is still right on track in terms of its development, where Insomniac has fully finished recording the voice lines and motion capture work that Yuri needs to act out for his main role as Peter Parker in the game. Or at the very least, that's what we all initially thought. To which the exact same questions were asked to Yuri on Twitter by fellow user Helsing, stating, have you finished the motion capture / voicing for Spider-Man? And oddly enough, Yuri responded with the exact opposite answer in comparison to what he said on Reddit, stating, no, we still have tons more to do.
Damn it! This is all your fault, Norman, you son of a... Psych!
Just kidding, because earlier this morning, Yuri Lowenthal once again responded to the same Twitter user of Helsing on Twitter, who asked him, hey, I'm sorry for asking this, but have you finished the motion capture / voice acting for Marvel Spider-Man 2? And what I can only see as trolling at this point, Yuri Lowenthal responded by saying, oh, we're totally done. How else are they supposed to get you the game on time? So it's pretty obvious at this point that Yuri is simply having a fun time on social media toying with fans who are hyped beyond belief for this game. However, there might be another way to analyze Yuri's post and the potential deeper meaning layered within them. And if anything, I don't think we have anything to worry about the game potentially being delayed if there's still more work to do, primarily considering that Insomniac have said the exact opposite every time they're asked about when the game will release, and that there's always the optimistic possibility that we can have as gamers, is that Yuri could still be working on other Spider-Man projects that haven't been officially announced yet. Whether that relates to any potential DLC that might be involved for Marvel Spider-Man 2, the more than likely inevitable sequel to the sequel with Marvel Spider-Man 3, or he could still also be doing work as Spider-Man for Marvel's Midnight Suns, since he also plays Peter Parker in that game. So to be quite frank, everybody, is that the Marvel Spider-Man 2 news has been so slim and minuscule that anytime we get the slightest bit of news or updates pertaining to the game, it sends every single Spidey fan into a frenzy. But given everything that happened with Yuri's post, is that this pretty much pushed people over the edge, where there were a lot of people pestering Insomniac on Twitter as to when exactly we could hear more about Marvel Spider-Man 2, which then resulted in an extremely hilarious and also 100% real dialogue exchange between Insomniac on Twitter and a couple users who were talking about the game. Where to begin with @UnbiasedLuchador is that they ask Insomniac, is the game still slated for release this fall? To which Insomniac responds clearly with fall 2023. So for anyone who's worried that the game is going to be delayed, don't be. Which was then replied with another user on Twitter by @GodOfInk96 stating, then why haven't we seen anything for 2 years? The game is supposedly coming out in a few months, yet you have done nothing to show us anything. And while I do completely understand the frustration coming from God of Ink, Insomniac responded full on by saying, because we're in the kitchen. It smells good in there, but we just ask for a little more patience.
Sorry to cook and run.
Did you just leave your clothes on the kitchen floor?
So yeah, Insomniac's 100% legitimate response to anyone who is impatient for waiting more on seeing Marvel Spider-Man 2 in action is literally saying, let us cook. And for me personally, I have zero reason to doubt them. From the very first time we knew Insomniac was working on a Spider-Man game with Spider-Man PS4 all the way back in 2016, with their other games since then with Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, not a single one of them was delayed the moment that they announced their release date or window as to when the game would launch. And in fact, the majority of the time they end up releasing their games on launch day, they end up looking and performing far better than some of the other AAA gaming companies release games in other poor states. And following that crazy Twitter exchange, we did receive a very heartfelt message from one of the main cinematic animators working on Marvel's Spider-Man 2, with Alex Zemke, where he went on to passionately say game dev is hard, really hard. In the best conditions, the nature of the work is still seriously challenging. Who you work with can make all the difference. I'm so glad to be doing this immensely difficult work with such an incredible team of dedicated, big-hearted professionals. And if you've been following me ever since the Spider-Man PS4 days, you already know what I'm going to say. In Insomniac, we trust. So while I have no doubt that Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is going to look and run absolutely incredible by the time we see more of it in action, it still is a legitimate question to ask as to when we could see more of the game at all. Well, luckily, it looks like my previous theory of a PlayStation showcase potentially occurring sometime in late May is more than likely right on the money. Whereas this news was reported by PlayStation Lifestyle, is that the much anticipated PlayStation showcase could be happening in May of 2023, according to insider Jeff Grubb, who, if you don't know at this point, Jeff Grubb is an extremely reliable gaming industry insider who has been extremely accurate with his previous leaks pertaining to PlayStation news, specifically in the cases of some of the recent PlayStation State of Plays. And taking this into consideration, the same logic obviously applies to a PlayStation showcase, where in a recent podcast, he can, quote-unquote, probably safely say that the showcase will appear in May, though saying, quote-unquote, before Summer Game Fest is what he'll continue to predict, as that is the safest option. At the latest, Grubb expects the presentation to be in early June. Grubb's May prediction on a Giant Bomb podcast falls in line with his prior statement in February that the PlayStation Showcase would be before E3 2023. Now that E3 has been cancelled, it's only fair that the Summer Game Fest takes its place, in more ways than one. Since PlayStation State of Play events typically fall on a Thursday, May 25th would seem the most logical choice for when the PlayStation Showcase will air. The Summer Game Fest will begin on June 8th, so the May date would provide some breathing room for the showcase, hopefully without it being bombarded by other developer live streams that are likely planned around the same 2 weeks or so. And I 1000% agree. Considering that Final Fantasy XVI does release relatively soon, and the recently dropped Horizon Forbidden West Burning Shores DLC just came out, which in my opinion was absolutely phenomenal and I highly recommend that you play it for yourself, Sony needs to start looking ahead to the future. And what better way to kick that future off with a full-on gameplay showcase of Marvel's Spider-Man 2, where hopefully all of our questions will be answered as to what type of gameplay mechanics will be incorporated into the game, as well as what the title's specific release date is going to be within the main window of fall 2023. But based on everything that has come out from Tony Todd and another gaming insider of Jason Schreier, it certainly looked like September is going to be our main month. Not to mention that if Sony or Insomniac doesn't take full advantage of cross-promoting Marvel's Spider-Man 2 before the release of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which does release on June 2nd, and Insomniac Spider-Man himself is in the movie, that might just end up being the biggest missed opportunity I would ever see. However, I have a good feeling that Sony and Insomniac won't let that golden opportunity slip by. In the end, everybody, all these updates are to say that Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is closer than ever, and by the time we see more of it, it's certainly going to blow each and every one of our Spidey-loving minds. But with all that said, everyone, that's the video I have for you today, and please let me know all your thoughts in the comments section down below. What are your thoughts on all these crazy news updates from Insomniac Games, Jeff Grubb, and even Yuri Lowenthal himself? Let me know what you think. Be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you did enjoy, and for more Marvel's Spider-Man 2 videos like this in the future, stay spectacular, Spidey fans, and until next time, peace out.